It is great to see such a great turnout for this evening, and you will not be disappointed. We have great presenters coming up, and one piece of advice that I'd like to share with you is not only be prepared to learn and grow from our presenters, but be prepared to share with others. Tonight, let's start a ripple effect. You will learn, share what you learn, and it just continues on. To your club members, to others, and much of what you hear tonight may not just apply to Toastmasters. This is real life, great information that applies personally, professionally, and in Toastmasters. I'm excited to see you all. Let's make sure to encourage our presenters. If you are able to show that smiling face, give it up on reactions, and give feedback to our presenters who gain energy from you as well. Let's start the ripples. Back to you, Scott.
Thank you so much, Jean. Ripples are incredibly important. Thank you for bringing that up. Thank you for being here tonight, everybody. And who's ready for a fun speech? Who's ready for a couple of really fun, entertaining, engaging speeches tonight? Who's ready for that? I know I certainly am. Nancy, it is so great to see that great smile. It is so great to see everybody here with those big smiles. I want you to please help me welcome our first presenter of the evening. Chris Fleming is a consultant in healthcare, quality reporting, and improvement at Humana Incorporated. Chris brings more than 16 years of healthcare experience linked to the medical dental claims business. He received his Bachelor of Arts in Economics and Creative Writing from Central College. As part of a team of process consultants and data analysts, he's responsible for multiple projects affecting Humana's reimbursements from the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. He's currently the president of Humana Guiding Voices, located at Humana Incorporated in Louisville, Kentucky. In addition to consultation at Humana, Chris is involved in various community activities related to religious faith in the inner city of Louisville. He currently resides in Jeffersontown with his wife, Sharon. Their two kids, Chris Jr. and Christian. He can be contacted at cfleming@humana.com. Please join me tonight in welcoming Chris Fleming and his presentation about mentor circles. Give it up for Chris Fleming, everybody.
Thank you. Can you hear me? Good? All right. If anybody's wondering, before we get started, you heard that my two kids' names are Chris Jr. and Christian. I know they're deviations of my name. It was not my idea. I don't want anyone walking away being like, what a narcissistic man he is, and name his kids deviation of his own name. Not my idea, although it was my wife's idea, and I didn't understand it at first until she says Chris now, and we all run to her. I said, I see now. I see what you did. I see. Fellow Toastmasters, welcome to the spring conference. I have always been so excited to be at the fall and the spring conferences. They're usually in Indianapolis or Louisville, I think sometimes Evansville. And I've always really been excited to meet new Toastmasters, to network, to bump ideas off each other. But yet we're not in a hotel these days. We're not in a ballroom these days. We are now having to do all things virtually during the pandemic. But I'm so glad that this district figured out how to truly get over the hump of not being able to be in person and having this conference today. So big up to Jen Wolf. Thank you for all your hard work. Scott Brown. I feel like Scott Brown's one of the hardest working men in Toastmasters. I feel like I get a lot of emails from him. He does a lot of work. Thank you for putting this together. I appreciate it. So like Scott already said, my name is Chris Fleming. I'm the president of Humana Guiding Voices. It's one of two clubs that Humana has in the downtown Louisville area. There's also another club called Humana Speaks Up, and they're in two different buildings. We used to have three clubs at one point, but they're definitely two different buildings, and they're both thriving. We do a lot of work collaborations together sometimes. And I'm not sure, let me roll through here. Anybody from Humanic Guiding Voices? Thanks for coming. I don't even know. I'm just looking through. I'm seeing some beautiful faces, though. Lots of cool houses. I had to put the background up. I think there's like a whole bunch of kids' toys behind me, so I had to put the Toastmaster background up. A shout out to anybody who's here just to support and get better at being the speaker and leader they want to be. That is such an amazing thing. If you're part of Toastmasters, that means you're taking a step to become a better person. And at this point, I am working on my DTM. I'm really close. I'm one high performance session away from that high performance planning project. But about 2 years ago, I took on the task of being the role of an area director. And I think that is one of the coolest things you can do is be an area director, because you are basically over a area of clubs. And the area I was over was Area 63, which was more New Albany, Southern Indiana. And what's really cool about it is you get to see so many different ways people do meetings. I mean, I've seen so many ways. I saw meetings where there were only 2 speeches and table topics, meetings where there were 3 speeches and 2 versions of table topics with a breakfast in the middle. That was like a 2-hour meeting. A meeting where they had joke masters and they had poet masters and they had actually here's the interesting thing. I saw a meeting in Chicago. Now this was me just traveling for work, but whenever I travel somewhere, I'm always trying to find a Toastmaster meeting. I went to a meeting in Chicago, and the Toastmaster Club was the Extreme Toastmasters, is what they were called. I was like, that's interesting. I want to go see what this is about. I get there. There are people coming in, and everyone sits down. And then this one guy comes in who's the president and goes, okay, so who wants to be Toastmaster today? And somebody raised their hand. Who wants to speak today? And I think to myself, y'all don't even have the roles picked out until you get here. I've never seen nothing like it. And they had a full meeting with no one actually knowing what they were going to do that day. And I thought that was amazing. So there's always all these different ways Toastmaster meetings go. But there are certain things in Toastmasters that are core. One thing that's core in Toastmasters, you have to speak. There's no Toastmaster meetings I've ever been to where no one was speaking. That makes for a boring meeting. Another core attribute of Toastmasters is mentoring. And for this speech today, we are going to talk about mentorship. Mentorship is a huge, huge deal. It's a backbone, one of the backbones of the evolution of people who walk into these clubs, into this international program and become Toastmasters they want to be. It fosters camaraderie, and it just helps in so many ways. So what we're going to do is we're going to dive into mentoring, and as you see, my title is Toastmasters Mentoring Circles, and the longer title is Toastmasters Mentoring Circles, accepted change difference. There is a way to do Toastmaster mentoring that hasn't been talked about, and right now I'm using my club as a guinea pig, and I would like to just roll this out to other people who may have some unique problems I have. Before that, let's talk about mentorship. So Merriam-Webster, they say mentoring is this. Mentorship is this: the influence, guidance, and direction given by a mentor. Okay. Don't you hate when definitions use the actual parts of the word it's trying to define? Like, thanks. Now I got to click on mentor. So mentor is a trusted counselor or guide. Also, it's a tutor or coach. If you see that top one, what's interesting about the top one, a friend of Odysseus, entrusted with the education of Odysseus' son Telemachus. I know, right? Like, you look this up, and the first definition is a friend of Odysseus. What? Who? Telemachus. But what's interesting about that is the word mentor was actually a person's name. Can you believe that? In Greek mythology, Odysseus was leaving for the Trojan War and left his son Telemachus under the tutelage of a man named Mentor. I think that is really cool, and that's how the word mentor came to be. I mean, how cool would it be if your name became a thing? Like, I think it's cool when a company is so popular that they take over the industry that they lead in. For instance, I don't call tissues, I call them Kleenexes. Kleenex is a company. There are people who are Netflix and chilling who watch some on Disney Plus. Netflix even took that over, however that means to you. But wouldn't it be really cool if somebody was like, hey, do you want to be my Chris this year? It's like, oh, congratulations, you have reached Chris status. I think I might actually use that. Like, you've reached Chris status. Congratulations, you're awesome now. But I just think it's cool. This man, Mentor, his name is now a thing, Mentor. So the idea of mentorship is universal. And there are many iterations of the mentor-mentee relationship that are famous. One big one involves this man right here, Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan, the greatest player on God's green earth. Now, look, I'm not getting in no kind of debate about the greatest player. I'm not really caring about how you feel about that. Look, Kobe was nice. LeBron is okay, but Michael Jordan is the greatest player ever to walk on God's green earth for pro basketball. But Michael Jordan, he had all this talent. And here's the thing. Here is a tidbit of information. He didn't make his freshman basketball team. Can you believe that? He actually got cut from his freshman basketball team in high school. And then his talent grew. He had a lot of natural talent. He got a huge height, a spring of height, and then he was off and running. But he was just green when he got to his college, University of North Carolina. It wasn't until he met his mentor that everything changed. His mentor, his name is Dean Smith, the late, great Dean Smith from University of North Carolina. He's the one that took all that raw talent that Michael Jordan had and cultivated it like clay and arranged it, gave him the skills he needed, gave him the way to be able to pivot and do a jump shot that we watch over and over again on Gatorade commercials, gave him the way to be able to shake somebody to the point where they fall that we watch all the time on Space Jam. He gave him the opportunities and the skills to hone in that natural talent to be the greatest player ever. And that's one of my favorite. That's one of my favorite mentee-mentor relationships. Another one that really has become way important in our lives is this one. Did you know that early in the company of Facebook, Steve Jobs saw Mark Zuckerberg and actually demanded that he would be his mentor? How awesome is that? Not only Mark didn't even ask, Steve demanded. Like, I will mentor you to billions of dollars. And that's what he did. And obviously he was a good mentor. As you see, Facebook makes buku money. And it looks like Mark can handle himself in front of a Senate committee every other month. It seems like he's there every other month. Let's not forget the greatest mentor-mentee relationship of all time. Let's not forget that. And that is Mr. Miyagi and Daniel's son. It is a testament to great mentorship and ability to guide a person to turn waxing a car and painting a fence into being able to crane kick and perform karate that would decimate the dojo of Cobra Kai. You can't get nothing better than that. Like so. paint fence. I love the moment where Daniel's son got so mad. He said, "You have me painting fences. You have me waxing your car. I want to learn karate." And then like, all of a sudden, Mr. Miyagi started like throwing punches at him, and he was like using painting the fence motion to block him, using the waxing car motion to block him. And he goes, "I've been teaching you karate," and walked away. It's like mic drop. What? But that is a great mentor-mentee relationship. So the idea of mentorship has been around for a long time. It really has. And so understanding that there's a tried and true method of mentorship, why wouldn't something like Toastmasters, that is a tried and true method of being the speaker and leader, actually have something like mentorship? Why wouldn't it? And the structure of Toastmasters, as we know now, the mentorship is a traditional structure. It's a traditional one-to-one, mentor-to-mentee relationship structure. And I'm going to show you some of the excerpts out of the mentor handbook, because it kind of puts together what a mentorship is, what it looks like in Toastmasters. So right away, Toastmasters defines a mentor as this. A mentor in Toastmasters takes a personal interest in and helps an inexperienced person. So a new person coming in, that's what a Toastmasters mentor does. Also, the mentor serves as a role model, a coach, and a confidant. This person should be one of the closest members of the club to the mentee. Also, offers knowledge, insight, perspective, and wisdom useful to a mentee, and helps someone become successful and learns new skills themselves. So that's a mentor in Toastmasters. When somebody becomes your mentor, these are the things that they are supposed to be adhering to when walking you through any kind of pathways, any kind of Toastmaster position you have, or just a club in general. So this is what a Toastmaster mentor does. It helps the mentee learn the program. There's so many things in Toastmasters you got to learn, right? Do you remember the first time you went to a meeting and you didn't know what was happening? Like who's talking, who did what? You timed. Everyone said and ah. What's this word we got to use? Well, a mentor walks you through the program. Also, you learn the club standards. However that club works, you learn its standards. Develops confidence, participates more, quickly learns speaking skills. So those are the things that a mentee gets quickly if they have a mentor in Toastmasters. And there's all kinds of different steps to it. So usually if you're a mentor in Toastmasters, these are the steps that are taken. First meeting with your mentee, you sit with them, you orient them to the members and the club, the customs, the procedures. You explain how to sign up for different roles. This is out the booklet. The first meeting. Then you help them with that icebreaker, which I love helping mentees with icebreakers. Because they're always like, "What should I talk about? Yourself?" And it's like the hardest thing in the world. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know what this says about me, but that was so easy. Oh yeah, you were talking about myself. I got it. Like, I was like, how much time I get? 10 minutes, 15? No, I do 4 to 6. Oh, that's not enough. But they help them all the way to the icebreaker. And then also, you would have another meeting, and at that meeting, you will show them different resources on Toastmasters.org, provide some positive feedback from the icebreaker they just did, explain responsibilities, like any kind of position that they might have. You would have responsibilities explained. And then you would give them the booklet, Toastmaster Wears Many Hats, so they can always have a reference document for all the different positions in a meeting. And you would help them with other speeches, other assignments. Now, in the old program, you only had to be a mentor for like 3 speeches, and then you can let them go, or you can continue on. But that was kind of the credit that you needed, was like about 3 speeches. But if you like them, keep mentoring them. Or if you don't like them, keep mentoring them. And then over time, this mentor would tell the mentee how there's been benefits and invite them to mentor other people, acknowledge progress, explain the officer duties, because at some point in time, they may want to be an officer. And then when speech contests come up, like International Humorous Speech, explain the speech contest and describe the organization. And that's pretty much the overarching idea of what is the Toastmaster mentorship as we see it right now. Why did I bring all this up? I want to make sure that you understand this way, that this process works. And you know how I know it works? Because I was a mentee at one point in time. In 2010, I'm going to tell you, before I even start this story, I had either one of the most ingenious or one of the craziest mentors you could ever have in Toastmasters. In 2010, I was entering some leadership at Humana. I felt like I needed to get my communication together. I felt like I needed to understand some leadership principles. I went to a Toastmaster meeting. I didn't jump into Toastmasters right away. I went to a Toastmaster meeting just to see what it was about. I was kicking the tires of Toastmasters, see what it was about. Great meeting. 3 speeches. There were some table topics. I didn't participate. Evaluations, kumbaya, and everybody would hang out, talk to each other afterwards. So I was talking to 1 or 2 people. There was a man. His name was Julian Finley. He took a beeline from one side of the room to the other, looks at me and goes, "Sir, I'm going to be your mentor." You got to understand, I don't even know what that even means in this context. I'm going to be your mentor. You're going to sign up for this, and we're going to meet next Wednesday. And what I could have said was, well, I don't really know if I really want to be a part of this. But because it was like maybe it was because it was such aggressive, I was lightweight scared. I said, okay. I said, okay. That Wednesday, he sits me down and he says, okay, I'm your mentor. I'm going to explain how Toastmasters goes. Now that you signed up, I'm going to explain the roles. We're going to meet every other week, every other Wednesday. And you're going to do 10 speeches in 1 year, because in order to get a competent communicator certificate, you got to do 10 speeches. That was old school. I was like, I haven't done whatever this icebreaker is yet. I know. He goes, I know, but you're going to do 10 speeches in a year, and I'm going to help you with it. I thought it was a daunting task, but guess what? This man walked with me through every speech. He supported me even when I wasn't ready. He helped me practice. He helped me prepare. He gave me all the confidence in the world. He explained all the different things about Toastmasters, and he even explained how he thought I would benefit and what I could probably do in Toastmasters. Like, he told me, you're going to be a president of a Toastmasters club one day. I'm not sure about this club. I'm not sure about that club, but you will be one day. Because, and then all the confidence, he put a backpack of confidence on my back. And I even remember a time I was doing maybe my 5th speech in 5 months. And I was in the middle of doing the speech, and I literally forgot what I was saying. I don't know if this ever happened to anybody. Now if I forget, I can finesse. I can get through it. But back then I couldn't. And I literally forgot. There was like a minute of silence. I felt like I was up there for an hour. And he gets up in the middle of the meeting and goes, "Hey, Chris, come sit down. Let's let the next person speak," which was like horrifying to me. What? Are you telling a grown man to go sit down? I sat down for a second, let somebody else speak. He goes, "Stop using your papers. You should have already been overusing your notes." just, you know what's in your heart, you know what you're going to say, just go up there and say it. And so after that first person spoke, I went back up there and I just said it. I said the essence and the spirit of the speech and not relied on the words. That is progress, people. And that's only the type of progress that can come from having a mentor who's willing to walk with you. So I want to give those stories because for two reasons. One, I always want to big him up and say, you know, I always say thank you. He actually passed away about 4 or 5 years ago, unfortunately, but I know he's somewhere. I say thank you for making me the leader and speaker I am these days. Every time I do, sometimes, like after this speech today, I'm going to say thank you to him. Because if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be here. So yes, this mentorship does work. But here's the question. What does a Toastmaster Club do when there are more new members than there are people to mentor? So this year, our club had a great and unique problem. The problem was we have more people that attend our meeting that has Toastmaster experience that is 2 years or less than we have people who have Toastmaster experience that's 2 years or more. Every meeting. We actually, in the last 2 years, we have added 10 new Toastmaster members to our club. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, it has been great. We've been blessed. And so as being the president of this club, I realized two things. One, we have a lot of new Toastmasters to mentor. But two, this one-to-one model is not going to work because of the simple membership ratio of seasoned Toastmasters to new Toastmasters. And that's when we started thinking about how can we mentor a group utilizing a few Toastmasters. And that's when we came to Mentor Circle. So what's a Mentor Circle? It's a corporate idea that I have stolen because I have no original ideas. Everything I tell you has been stolen from somebody smarter than me, and I won't give them credit. So what is a Mentor Circle? A Mentor Circle are a form of group mentoring that encourages participants from all levels of an organization to propose and own a topic of interest. The interest here being Toastmasters. These circles can occur virtually or in person, depending on the organization needs. So instead of one-to-one mentoring, it is a group of people who are coming together and they've made a contract with each other and with some other people and basically saying, hey, we're going to learn whatever the topic is together. We're going to learn together. And many companies do many companies do mentoring circles. And the reason why I know this is because I was part of a mentoring circle at Humana. I was part of a leadership mentoring circle. They let 2 VPs be our mentors, and we met every month and learned how to be better leaders under tutelage of these 2 VPs. They gave us free materials, and we worked together. We operated together in many of the endeavors, and we strengthened one another and encouraged one another. So I've been a part of it. All I did was take that strategy and put it in Toastmasters because this is what we need right now. And so when it comes to our club, this is basically our mission. Our mission is this: Humana Guiding Voices Mentor Circle seeks to instill newer Toastmasters with the motivation and passion for leadership and public speaking while introducing knowledge of the Toastmaster organization principles and precepts. So what we're going to do is we're going to encourage new members to become better leaders and encourage them to speak early and often. Remember the 10 speeches in a year? I haven't laid down that gauntlet on nobody. That scared me, so I'm not there. But we're early and often. We want to get them speaking because you joined it for a reason, right? You didn't join it to sit on the bench, did you? You didn't join it just to clap at everybody else speaking. So if you're going to be part of it, let's speak early and often, and that's part of the push in the mentor circle. And they all encourage each other. also at the same time utilizing other speakers in the Toastmasters to bestow the knowledge of Toastmaster organization principles, precepts to the new people. And so how does this work? How does this work in our club? This is how it works. Okay, so first we form mentees. So right now we have a mentee group of 6 people. That's our first mentee circle. We sent out an interest survey. You want to be part of this mentee circle. Some people didn't have the time for it yet. We're going to do it next year. You may catch the wave next year. But 6 people said they want to be part of the circle. So basically that class was formed and it was announced in February. This is the mentee circle. This is our inaugural class. You know, I played some music. I played some like graduation music, even though they haven't graduated yet, just to like, you know, Chariots of Fire type stuff, just to rein it in. I love spectacle. And then we have 2 mentors that lead the group. I call them shepherds. They're the shepherds of the group. They're the ones who walk them through all that is Toastmasters. Their door is always open. Their virtual door is always open for any help. They've signed on to say that they'll always be available for these people. And they do 30-minute, 40-minute monthly meetings with the group just to reiterate anything they've heard when it comes to the Toastmaster information. Also, the speeches, and this is where it gets really cool. The speeches about all the Toastmaster information that this mentor circle needs to know comes from other people in the club. So they get in it. They get into it. So the 2 shepherds, they coordinate with other people in the club. They come up to another person and say, hey, can you teach the mentor circle about officers from the district down to the club? Yes. And guess when that speech happens? At a Toastmaster meeting. Why not? Why not? We're using everything at our disposal to get everyone up and going. So we have different people giving speeches. So the last 2 speeches, we had somebody speak about all leadership opportunities. And they went in depth about all leadership opportunities in Toastmasters International, even the ones that never make, like Jen Wolf's position. Nah, somebody might. But also then this last week, we had somebody do a pathways presentation, because I think some of the biggest humps is the new Toastmasters just trying to find out where to go, where the icebreaker stuff is, where the speeches are. And then we have a few more coming up. We have about 3 or 4 more speeches coming up each month to just edify this mentor circle. And guess what? Everybody else in the club, they get to be edified too. They get to get more knowledge also. But it's intentional. And that's how it goes. So that's how the strategy is. There is a group. There is 2 shepherds. There is multiple people giving knowledge to this group. And as they all are coming together, they have their own meetings where they're trying to figure out, well, you know, what is the best way to do this? How should I do that? They're actually shooting ideas back and forth with each other as newbies, which I think is just, it's like kinetic energy that's happening with these group of people that's actually ushered in a whole different vibe in our group. If you came to one of our meetings, you would know who's part of the mentor circle and who's not, because they have a vibe like they hang out like they hang out like the friends in the Goonies or something, like they hang out or something. I know they ain't going out and drinking and stuff, but it just seemed like they're in it for each other and they support each other outright. So that's how it starts. And our objective in all of this is this: the ambition for seasoned Toastmasters to provide information to other Toastmasters. Everyone should have the opportunity to teach another person. Also, motivation for the newer Toastmaster members to become involved members and achieve their goals. And the third thing, which I think is one of the most important things and one of the most special things that's come out of this, fostering a camaraderie between Toastmasters through shared experiences and similar goals. This is important here. Camaraderie is one thing, but camaraderie through shared experiences and similar goals, that is what binds people. Here's a question. Actually not a question, it's a fact. Do you know that more marriages have came out of the game Big Brother than the show The Bachelor? Did you know that? True statement. More marriages has come out of a game show than the actual show that's supposed to put marriages together. Do you know that no matter how many freshmen a basketball team has on their squad, that most championships are won by teams that have seniors, juniors, sophomores, and freshmen? I know the one and done's huge, and UK loves it, but they don't get many championships out of it. Any UK fans, I'm sorry. Third thing, for anybody on this call who's been in a fraternity or sorority, this is a fact. You can remember most of the things you probably did soberly as a fraternity or sorority member before you'll remember your last conference you've been to. I'm going to tell you why. There's nothing that trumps remembering and coming together more than time spent with each other. There's no bigger teacher and no bigger camaraderie fostering experience than just spending time with each other. That's why there's more marriages on Big Brother. They spent 90 days with no TV. You know, not in some elegant, far off destination drinking wine waiting for the next date. That's why those championships are won by these teams who've been there for a while. They've been on the team for a while. And so that is what we're trying to foster, and that's been the most special thing is this camaraderie is going to keep most of them in the club, and I can't wait to see it. I can't wait to see that. So here's the outcome so far. The program started in February. There's 6 mentees. There's been a huge uptick in participation in the education process from seasoned Toastmasters. So seasoned Toastmasters has actually showed up more because they got skin in the game into rearing these younger Toastmasters. And we've had more attendance from them. A huge uptick in meeting participation by the newer Toastmasters. There's been new Toastmasters who've taken over the Toastmaster job in the meeting. And you know, that's like the last thing a new person does. They'll do everything before that one. There'll be a timer, there'll be a grammarian, there'll be a speech person before they'll take over being a Toastmaster of the meeting. And we've seen that iteration, that evolution come quicker from the people in the mentor circle. 5 of the 6 mentees are on a path to complete level 1 by the end of 2021 of their pathways. That's about 4 speeches and evaluation. That's a lot, actually, for a new person. 2 of the 6 mentees are considering a club office role for 2021 and 2022. And I mean, I'm just thankful for that. That's a huge leap for a person who just joined. But they know they have support from their own people, their own circle, and others. I'll leave you with this. Henry Ford said, coming together is a beginning. Staying together is progress. And working together is success. Teamwork makes the dream work. We're just trying to use everybody in our Toastmaster club to rear up the other people in the Toastmaster club to be the Toastmasters of the future in the club. And one last thing, because the Bible is my favorite book, Proverbs 27:17 says, iron sharpens iron, so one man sharpens another. the best learning you can do is when two people are collaborating with each other towards shared goals. That is the end of my presentation, and I'll do Q&A. Scott, can I do Q&A? Or
Absolutely.
how does that work?
Before we do Q&A, how about giving up for Chris? That was
Thank you.
absolutely fantastic.
Great
Absolutely
job.
fantastic. I love that. As someone who's used mentoring circles for years, the value in mentoring circles in Toastmasters is obvious. And I love that you have such a structured way to put this together and such a great way to talk about it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. What a wonderful gift for everybody here.
Appreciate it.
So let's open it up to some questions. Open up to some questions, some comments. Who has specific things that you're interested in learning a little bit more about the specifics of mentoring circles? Who has comments about where you might have used it in the past or where you want to use it in the future? You can either put them into chat and I will monitor the chat and read those questions out loud, or you can absolutely just unmute and ask yourself. So Patricia asked the first question. She said, how long do mentees stay in the mentee circle?
That's a great question. So right now, this is our inaugural mentor circle. So right now, what we're doing a 5-month program where they are committed to come to some extra meetings with their with their mentors, and also there is already a structured speeches of all the information of Toastmasters that are being laid out over 5 months.
That is very cool. I'm interested to see how that works at the end of 5 months to what the long-term results of this are. I think we're going to all be tracking to look at humanity to see how this plays out in the end, because I think this is something we can all absolutely use.
Yeah, I'm
Yes.
interested in it too. Yeah.
Scott,
Joe.
Chris, I have a question. Knowing knowing the Toastmasters mentoring program that we have to complete after we have done the second path, how are you tying this into ensuring that those individuals get credit for mentoring?
So the second path, no one's gotten to the second path yet, but our idea is that once we do another mentor circle, that one of the shepherds in the mentor circle will be somebody who needs it for their second path.
Okay.
So that person working with the VPAE, that person is going to be it's basically going to be asked, hey, you need this for your mentoring credit. Do you want to be a shepherd? Because the shepherd does a lot of the work, even though the Toastmasters in the club do a lot of the presentations.
Thank you so much.
Very nice, Chris. Absolutely love that. So Jane Croft asked a question here in chat. She said, as the club VPE, I think I'll establish mentor circles for the new club to meet last. She's so close to becoming a DCP, to meeting the last goal for DCP. So that's not a question, but more of a statement. Adele asked a question though. She needs advice on how to overcome mentor fatigue when everyone seems to be too dependent and needy and the mentor doesn't see the results or sees very little improvement. How do you overcome the fatigue factor?
Well, so I'm gonna answer that from the state of the mentor circle. I'm not gonna answer from the state of the actual traditional mentor program. I think the mentor circle works in the favor of never having the fatigue, because that mentor is not carrying the entire structure. There's a structure involved. There are other people who are part of the Toastmaster group playing into that structure, and that mentor is basically filling in the gaps. So I would say it actually, mentor circle definitely helps without the fatigue. And here's the thing: I know everybody in my club that's in the mentor circle is not going to achieve like what I think are the highest heights within 5 months. But what's cool about a mentor circle is you'll have a few, and to me, that's a few is a success.
Perfect. Absolutely love that. Not everybody has the same path. Not everyone's trying to go to the same place. And it's great that you guys are open
Right.
to allowing individuals to create their own path. So I have a question for you. Who mentors your
Okay.
shepherds?
Well, the two shepherds is me, who currently doesn't have a mentor. So I need one too, don't I? And the other person is Amy Poole, who's a DTM. So right now, I'll say in our infancy, that is a question I'll have to take back.
Very nice. Whatever
So
role you take
that's
on,
a good one.
whatever role you take on, always have a mentor for whatever the role is. So if you
Yep.
have a mentor to be a member, when you become a club officer, find someone to be a mentor for you to be a club officer. And then when you step into a
Yep.
district position, find someone to be a mentor as you become a district leader. And if you're a shepherd, find someone to mentor you as a shepherd. Context matters. I love that. I absolutely love that.
That's true. True.
All right. So Jane asked, Jane said, question. You put Q to make sure I knew that this was the question. What suggestions and recommendations do you have for creating a mentor circle from scratch when the club is brand new to Toastmasters?
Okay, so and everybody in the club is new to Toastmasters? Because sometimes you have people who are not new to Toastmasters who are in the club.
Jane's from a club, VVAT, just chartered 4 months ago. They chartered this year in the past, so I think since Christmas, right around there sometime.
Yeah, my
Yeah.
club was started in November. And
November,
we
sorry.
started on the pathway in February. It took that
Yeah.
operation to start. So everybody knew except maybe like a handful who was previous Toastmaster. So, no.
You can definitely give incentives. I mean, I think there can be all kind of incentives. There was a person in our club who, so this whole virtual thing that we're doing right now, what's wild is our club started doing virtual, at least half virtual hybrids 3 years ago. And the person who invited into our club and set it up, got it going, he was amazing. And we gave him an award at the end of the year just for being that person. He got it was like a Toastmaster Clear award with his name engraved. You can get that off the website. If anybody's willing to step up and help mentor, they're going to have to learn themselves if you're a new club. That person should get a plaque like that at the end. Should get a Toastmaster gift certificate at the end. So you should set it up to give that person, because that's a daunting task, give that person a reward. Because I thought to do WebEx and have people in the room. Because if you come to one of our clubs back before Corona, what you would see people in a room, and you would see a big old screen with people's faces. And it was all because of him. He's the one who set it up. So then when Corona hit, we kept rolling. We didn't have to change a thing. And I'm so glad we honored him back when he did that, because he made it so that we did not have to maneuver once this Corona thing hit. So I would say anybody who's going to step up like that, please honor them with something like that.
Absolutely love that, Chris. Jane, I think the one other option you have here, remember, you're an entirely virtual club. Every one of us is just as far away from you as everybody else. We are all one internet connection away. So feel free to reach out. And I bet there are some folks out in District 11 that will be more than happy to help shepherd throughout your organization.
Absolutely.
Club.
Mm-hmm.
I bet Chris would even be happy to be able to help set that up for you all. Last question.
You can reach out to me.
Yep, absolutely. Last question here before we have to start getting ready for the next one. How do you explain the value to get mentors on board and mentees involved? And how much time did it take to sell the idea?
I'd explain the value. Well, you see how I just told my personal story? Okay, so I love the Head and Shoulders commercial. The one where they go, the person has dandruff in their hair. And then the person that don't have dandruff goes, hey, you should try Head and Shoulders. And then the person looks at them and goes, wait, you use Head and Shoulders? You don't have dandruff? Exactly. Look, personal testimony about how awesome mentorship works sells itself. Like, I wasn't always this way. I wasn't this flamboyant person you see on the screen today. I was very scared. I used to have my palms used to sweat. My palms are dry now. Look at that. See? That's mentorship. That's mentorship. So you have to tell the stories. Say, hey, this is how I got this way through mentoring, and anybody else can, because everyone's trying to get better. That's what it is. And then also, you can really, if you're trying to get some mentors on board, you can tell them the need. When I was trying to get Amy Poole on board, I basically said, Amy, we got like a whole bunch of Toastmasters, and I don't want to lose them. We have 20 club members now. We're trying to get our distinguished club, and I don't want to lose them. Will you help me shepherd? And she said, yeah. Why wouldn't somebody? So you tell mentors the need. You show mentees the product of mentoring. And it didn't take long for me to sell that. It took about 3 months, because I first had to explain like how awesome mentorship is. So part of my talk to you all was that speech about Julian Finley. And then I came back around about a month later and said, this is what I'm proposing. And then I asked for people to buy into it. So about 2-3 months.
Chris, thank you so very much for sharing with us. That was an absolutely fantastic presentation. Wonderful question and answers. I love the passion. I love the process. I love the person. This is absolutely fantastic. So thank you. Everybody, please give it up for Chris Fleming tonight. Please give it up for Chris. That was absolutely wonderful. You have absolutely started a ripple effect throughout the district, and we are so glad to have you and so glad that you came to share your story tonight. I'm going to hit stop record for this one so we can end up moving into the next one. It's easier to post then.